When I was a child, I had a favorite tree, and I loved to sit in that tree. It was so tall and had such great branches for climbing, and I would go all the way to the tippy top. And when I think about it now, I probably look like an eagle perched on a nest up there. I was thinking about that, and I don't ever remember asking permission to climb the tree. So the thing is, if I would have fallen from the tree, not only would I have fallen the distance of the top to the bottom on the ground, but that tree sat right at the top of a steep hill, more like a bluff, that went down to the creek below the house that I grew up in. So if I would have fallen from the tree, the likelihood of me just stopping at the bottom of the tree is very unlikely. I would have rolled down the hill. So how in the world did my mother allow me to climb that tree? Well, I didn't ask for permission to climb it. I just climbed the tree because the outdoors was my playground. And so the first time she looked out and saw me in the tip top of the tree, she was probably startled, but maybe she assumed if I got up there once and got back down without help, then I would be fine. The other thing is, her line of sight straight out the kitchen window above the sink was straight on that tree. So she could look out the kitchen window and see me sitting in that tree. As I've thought about this, I wish so much I could see my little self again in that tree. Too bad we didn't have videos and stuff back then like we do now, but I want to talk to you about the discipline of stillness. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." That's kind of a popular scripture among people who use scripture as life mantras and stuff, but be still and know that I am God, in my opinion, takes discipline. Because have you told your kid, sit down, be still? Be still, quit running, you can't run in here. It takes discipline. It takes consistent effort from the parent to the child to get them to the place where they can hear your voice, to be still, to not run in here, to not run in the store, to not run out into the street. Stop, be still. So the discipline of stillness is something that I have to work on in the chaos of the world and the busyness and the things that scream at us to do. The urgent that really aren't priorities. I mean, they become priorities because they're urgent, but maybe they're not terribly important to you in the grand scheme of things. So when I think about the discipline of stillness, I have to bring myself down to a place of quiet. And I've talked to you about this before. When your emotions get in a frenzy, your brain and your body is disconnected. So one thing I do, that I've been sitting here doing it, is writing. I like to do hand lettering, so it worked out well for me to be hand lettering, be still and know that I am God. And I just doodle around that. And when I say doodle, make the shapes around the letters pretty or artistic, or draw flowers or stars, shapes. Just doodle, make it pretty. And as I'm doing that, I feel my emotions settle. And right now, of all times, don't we need to feel our emotions and our spirits settle and calm? If you're looking for a friend, I'm your girl, because I love to figure out ways to settle, to calm, to inspire, to feel joy. Because you know what? It is true that difficulty and joy can sit together. Both can be true together. Sadness, difficulty, trials, hardships, and joy. Because I believe if you look for joy, you can find joy. You can find and look for hope. You can find, when you look for inspiration, things to take you from the emotion of the chaos and the darkness. So I'm going to talk to you about the discipline of stillness, because I do believe that this helps in calming the chaos. And how can we be still and know anything? Know that God is God. Know that we are complete and whole. Know that we are at the right time and place. Know that we are enough. Know that truth is truth. Know that answers can be found. How can we know anything if we're just rushing? And when I was a child and I would climb that tree and sit, it's like the whole woods, the whole property, the whole outdoors was my vista for contemplation. So the first thing I think that you should do in the practice of discipline is find a place that brings you comfort. Is it a chair by the window where you can watch the birds? Or a chair by the fireplace? Or a chair on your front porch? Or is it going for a hike? Or is it fishing? Find a place that brings you comfort, because you're going to need to return to that place. If you travel, decide ahead where those places will be, or decide ahead that you will recognize those places of comfort quickly. So that's the first thing you need to do. Find a place that brings you comfort. The second thing that you need to do is realize that it's a discipline, and you start slowly. You do this repetitively. So if I practice stillness of, say, sitting for 30 minutes, it's not easy to start at 30 minutes. So start with 2 minutes, or start with 5 minutes. If you have small children, you may have a hard time of finding 2 minutes here and there. You may need to just draw your small children in and talk to them about the discipline of stillness. And so when I talk about the discipline of stillness, I don't mean just sitting still. You can if you want to. But what I mean is the stillness of mind and body, heart, emotions. So that as you practice the discipline of stillness, you begin to become aware of how you're grounded. You're not chaotic. You're not running here and there. You may be busy. You maybe have things to do, but you will notice that you become grounded. You become grounded in truth. You become grounded in knowledge. So, 1, find your place of comfort. 2, start slowly. 3, my suggestion is don't read, don't listen to a podcast, don't listen to music with lyrics. If you want to listen to music that you can't hear words in your mind, which would probably be like classical music or instrumental music that has no words, so that you're listening and hearing, but you can be aware of your own thoughts. And as you sit there, you'll feel yourself begin to calm. So listen. If you don't want to listen to music, like I said, try not to listen to people talking. But say you're sitting on the front porch, then listen to the birds. Or off in the distance, you may hear a rooster crowing. I live in town, but when I sit on my front porch in the morning in silence, way off in the distance, I can hear a rooster crow. Now, our town doesn't allow chickens within city limits, and I thought, oh, who has roosters? Who has chickens? I have to go see if I can find eggs. But no, as I became settled and became aware, my hearing expanded until I could hear the rooster way over there. If you listen, you can hear, I have heard this, you can hear the corn squeak when the dew has fallen. If you live near a farm field, you can hear the corn squeak, squeak, squeak. You can hear the wind ruffle the corn stalks, the long leaves. You'll be amazed at the things you can hear, even within city limits, if you choose not to hear and listen to information, but listen to expand your hearing, to teach your brain to hear beyond what's just right here staring you in the face, because that's how we get in a frenzy. Our news, our phones, our Instagram, all the things that we scroll. We're just so focused. We're so myopic. So discipline yourself in stillness to expand your hearing and hear the things of nature and become grounded. Then the other thing that I like to do is to write. I like to have a notebook or a sketch pad, and as I have thoughts, positive or negative thoughts, I like to write those down. And if they're negative thoughts, I like to figure out ways to reframe that. That negative thought may be false. That negative thought may be true. If it's false, if it's a false thought, what can I do to annihilate those false thoughts? If it's a negative thought that is true, what can I do to turn it into a positive thought that is still true, but it's positive? Because once again, negative and positive can sit together. Negative and positive can reverse. Negative and positive can come to the place where the positive is your focus and not the negative. When you practice the discipline of stillness. So being in a place of comfort, starting slowly, listening to expand your hearing, and then so what I was saying, writing. I like to write. I like to write my thoughts, or I like to hand letter, because though writing is something that I personally can do quickly. Grab a notebook. I have a notebook I write in, and I can just start writing. But The other thing that I like to do that's fairly quick for me is because I keep a sketch pad and I keep pencils ready, and then I doodle. Or you could use a coloring book. I have some of the cutest strawberry shortcake coloring books from when our daughter was little, and we would color together. I love to color. You may not like to color. Maybe you like to embroider. Maybe you like to crochet or knit. Maybe you like to oil paint. So find a place of comfort where you can paint. Expand your hearing. Start slowly. Think your own thoughts. And as you do these things, you will feel your mind and your body begin to reconnect, because as you use your hands, as you tune into your 5 senses, as you allow yourself to expand your hearing, as you allow yourself to see beauty, walking through your flower garden, walking through your vegetable garden, pulling the weeds, seeing the beautiful flowers, observing how the bees hop from bloom to bloom, whatever it is, you choose. Whatever it is, you choose to be still, but separate yourself from the frenzy, from the chaos, from the busyness. And then the last thing that I will say that I think is very helpful is after you've practiced 2 minutes or 5 minutes of stillness, each time, maybe you can increase it by 30 seconds or a minute. Now, the goal isn't to sit here timing yourself on your Apple Watch, but as you practice the discipline of stillness, you'll see the benefits to your mind and your body and your spirit, and it will become easier to extend that time till you may realize that more time has passed than you thought had passed. After you practice your discipline of stillness, try to enter back into your routine, your work schedule, the stress of the day per se, in a calm. Try to carry that calmness and that stillness and those new thoughts into the busyness, the cares of life, the responsibilities of the day. And I think as you practice stillness, the discipline of stillness, you'll begin to notice dramatic change in the way you emotionally cope with the stresses of everyday life. It's a choice, it's a discipline, but it's really worth it. And if you need a friend to help you along the way, well, come sit by me and subscribe, because I'll tell you some more about these things later. Bye-bye.